Hey guys, what's up? It's Rachel. Welcome back. And today we are making this adorable Pusheen Funfetti donut cake. I can't believe I've never made something Pusheen before on my channel. I think Pusheen is adorable. If you've never seen Pusheen before, he's like a chubby gray cat. He likes to eat things and he likes to bake and he likes to just exist as a cat, ending on a strong note. But I love Pusheen. I think he's adorable. I think I already said that. Regardless though, I'm in love with this cake and I'll show you guys how to make it from start to finish. And then before we get started, make sure you tap that subscribe button and then turn on notifications for new videos every single week. And without further ado, let's hop right into it. To start off, let's make our Funfetti cake. In a bowl, you'll need 3 cups of flour, along with a tablespoon of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then just grab yourself a whisk and mix that all through. And then over in a separate bowl, you're going to need 2 sticks of nice soft butter. And I like to blend that just to get it nice and smooth. Then I'll add in 2 cups of sugar. And yes, there is a good amount of sugar in this, but we're baking a cake, not starting a diet, so just don't worry about it. Then I'll just cream that together until it is nice and light and fluffy. Next up, we'll add in 4 room temperature eggs. And I'm just gonna mix those in one at a time. After that, I'm just going to add in 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract and mix that all through as well. And now we are going to alternate wet and dry ingredients. So we're going to start off with some of the dry ingredients first and mix. A little bit of the wet ingredients, which in this case is a cup of milk, and mix that in. A little more dry ingredients, a little mix, the rest of the wet ingredients, and another mix. And you guys are smart, you know what's coming last, the rest of the dry ingredients. And I like to finish the mixing off by hand just to make sure I don't overmix. You just have more control that way. But before I mix it in all the way, I'm gonna add in my favorite ingredient, a 1/4 cup of rainbow sprinkles. You can't go wrong with these guys, super pretty. And now I am just going to divide my batter between 3 6-inch pans, and I have just greased those and lined them with parchment paper. Spread that out nice and even. And then pop that off into the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. And once they come out of the oven, they should look something like this. This time though, I used a different setting on my oven than I normally do because I've always wanted to try the convection setting, but I must have done something wrong because they came out quite a bit darker than they normally do. They still tasted delicious, just a little more caramelization on the outside, but I'm okay with that. And now I'm just going to level off my cakes. I like to use a cake leveler, makes it super easy and there's no guesswork. Let those cool down completely, and then the next day I went ahead and filled and stacked. And it was warmer too, so I'm wearing a dress. So onto a rotating cake board, I'm just going to lay down some buttercream and pop down my first cake. I'll scoop a little bit of buttercream on top and spread it out with my offset. And then just pop on your next layer and press the last layer on top. And this one got the darkest because it was in a different pan too, so I just shaved off some of the caramelization. And now we're gonna go in with our crumb coat. So I've got some blue buttercream frosting, and I'm just going to pipe that all over the cake. And then I'll go back in with my offset spatula and just press that into the sides. The goal here is just to lock in any crumbs and fill in any gaps in between the layers. And we're gonna pop that into the fridge for about 10 minutes just so it can firm up. And then once it's out of the fridge, we're just going to pipe on the final layer of our frosting. And then I'm just going to spread that out with my offset spatula. It doesn't have to be super neat at this stage. I just want the whole cake covered in icing. And then I'll go back in with my frosting scraper and just scrape off any excess. Tuck in any rough edges at the top. And now your beautiful cake is good to go. Moving on to decorations, we're going to make the white chocolate drip. So you're going to start off with a 1/2 cup of really nice hot heavy whipping cream. And then I'm just going to spoon in 1 1/2 cups of white chocolate chips. The reason I'm spooning them in is because otherwise it has a tendency to splash up, especially right at the beginning, and we don't want that to happen. Let that sit for about 5 minutes just so it can melt down a little bit, and then start mixing it through. At first it's going to be really thick and kind of clumpy, but have faith in it, just keep mixing and it'll get nice and smooth. And then since white chocolate chips aren't really white, they're kind of yellowish, I'm just gonna add in a little bit of white food color just to give us that nice contrast against the blue. Now if your mixture is a little bit too thin, you can add in some more melted white chocolate to thicken it up a bit. I ended up adding in just a tiny bit too much, so it was a little bit too thick, but that's okay, nothing we can't work with. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pour this over the top of the cake. And then I'll use my offset spatula just to push it to these sides. I'm not gonna quite push this over the edge though, because I like to have a little bit more control over the drips. So I'll go back in with a piping bag filled with our white chocolate mixture and just add some more drips spaced out semi-evenly. We're gonna pretend it was random. And now that is looking beautiful, so we can move on to our Pusheen and donut cookies. So you're going to need some sugar cookie dough for this, and you can find the recipe over on the blog post linked below. So I'll just go ahead and flour this up. And I definitely recommend having one of these rolling pins with the little stopper thingies on the sides where you can set the thickness and roll it out to exactly as thick as you want it to. Totally worth it. I'll leave the link to the one I have down below. And now you're going to need your little Pusheen template, link for this again on the blog post below. And I'm just going to go in with a knife and cut this out. This works really well because you don't need a cookie cutter or anything. It's just super easy. So I'll just wiggle him out and place him on my baking sheet. And then our Pusheen is also going to be holding a little donut, so I'm just cutting that out as well, along with a backup donut just in case. And then to rim the bottom of our cake, I'm gonna make some more donuts as well. And in case you're wondering how many donuts to cut out, well, I have something really exciting to share with you guys. Are you ready? Rhetorical question. Okay, so we have got a 6-inch diameter cake. The donuts are 1.5 inches in diameter. Circumference is gonna be pi d, and so the number of donuts is 6 pi divided by 1.5. And that's gonna be about 13 donuts depending on how you space them. Was that super exciting or what? Don't answer that, but I don't know. I was just happy that finally all those years of learning math finally came in handy. Once you have all your cookies ready to go, just throw them on a baking sheet and pop that into the oven at 350 degrees for about 6 to 10 minutes. The different size cookies are gonna be done at different times, so just keep an eye on them. And you can see I just made a whole bunch of different size donuts just for decoration at the end. And now it's time to ice our cookies. I recommend starting with Pusheen because he has the most steps. So the first step is just to outline him with some black royal icing, add on some whiskers, some little feet, some stripes on the tail, and then set him aside until the icing sets up. Should take no more than 30 minutes. Then you can go back and fill him in with some gray royal icing, and spread that out, making sure you don't cover up the outline, and fill in the little stripes too. Once you're finished, leave that to set for at least 3 hours. You do want it to be pretty firm. And in the meantime, you can work on your donut cookies, again just some more royal icing, along with some rainbow sprinkles. These are really fun and easy to do, and you can find my favorite recipe for royal icing over on my blog post. Now back to our Pusheen cookie. Once the icing is set up, we can just go back in with the final details. He's got some stripes on his head, some patches on his back, some eyeballs, of course. And then I'm just gonna dot on the mouth with the toothpick, and this way we don't have to load a whole separate piping bag with a different size piping tip. It just helps you get more precise with it. And now we can stick on Pusheen's little donut, and then give him some arms so he can hold on to it. And now our Pusheen cookie is finished. This makes such an adorable centerpiece for our cake, and no fondant used, which I love. And then to put it all together, I'm just gonna stick my little donut cookies on the bottom of the cake, and make sure you alternate colors. Then I'm gonna go in with a little bit more frosting and pipe a little cloud. Pop Pusheen right behind there, and then I just propped him up with some toothpicks. Then I stuck on some more donut cookies on the front, added on some rainbow sprinkles, and you guys, our Pusheen cake is finished. So cute. Oh my gosh. I am in love with this cake. I didn't even want to cut into it, but he is pretty tasty, so you gotta do what you gotta do. And now that our cake is finished, let's hop into the outro. So that is how you make this Pusheen cake. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. And then if you did, make sure you tap that subscribe button and then turn on notifications for new videos every single week. You can also follow me on social media if you like to at kawaiisweetworld. The Etsy sticker shop is right up there and my last video is right down there. Alright, well, take care guys. Love you all and I'll see you all back here very soon. Bye guys!